a whole thing once about going to my first health club ever, because I was looking at women's bodies in the steam room, and I realized that each body on its own made total sense without the ridiculous little bra and the thing, that referred to some other ideal. One woman looked like a Buddha, somebody else looked, and the scars from cesareans were like warrior scars, It's hard because there's a big effort to keep us from rebelling, and there's a lot of money to be made. But I hope that each of us, men and women, can go home and look in the mirror and say, yes, this is fan-fucking-tastic.
I want to ask you one more question that's connected to this, and then I'm going to move on to the other ones. But so, as a feminist, when you get ready in the morning and you put yourself together, there's a kind of misconception, I think, that in order to be a feminist, there are like all of these invisible rules, which mean that you can't wear heels, or you can't wear makeup, or body hair, no body hair. I mean, I have an answer as well, but I'm interested, when you put yourself together, what kind of things what do you think about?
Well, I used to have a rule, anything I could do in 20 minutes was okay. And over time, I've developed a kind of uniform, which is black pants, some kind of top, some weird belt that you can... But I think that body decoration is a human impulse, and men as well as women. Have you ever seen the Omo people in the valley in Africa? Well, look up on your cell phones, look up OMO, and look at these people who, women and men, boys and girls, decorate themselves every day, with natural clay and paints and flowers. It's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with body decoration. It's beautiful. But the question is, why can't men do it? And why do women have to do it? Why can't we do it with joy and imagination?
So far as it's a choice, and it makes you feel good and you feel empowered, I don't think there can be any rules. So our shared shelf, my book club, Maria wants to know, in your opinion, how has feminism changed in the digital age? Now that women from all over the world can be informed and empowered through the internet, has the balance of equality shifted in any way?
Well, it's obviously great that we can get information in the safety of our homes, that we can find each other. It's also obviously true that it's not the same as meeting. You're not empathizing with all 5 senses, and pressing send is not activism. Okay. It's also true that it is divisive and polarizing, because the huge majority of illiterates in this country, in this world, are female. And many, many, many millions of women do not have electricity, do not have money for a computer. So it can be divisive, and we must be aware of that. Here's my dream for technology. I think that we should have a big satellite in the sky, broadcasting in all kinds of different languages. And there should be, those wind-up radios that you don't even need electricity for, So each woman on the ground can get a program in her own language. I mean, I just think technology is wonderful, but let's democratize it. Let's try to spread it as widely as we can. And there is also the opposite end of it, which is that females on the web get a lot more punishment, a lot more harassment, a lot more cruelty, a lot more threats. And we have to understand, too, that in the absence of 5 senses, we're able to be more cruel to each other than we are when we're actually present.
What do you say to people who believe that feminism is just about hatred of men? And that's from Raphael, who's from Brazil.
Well, I could send them to the dictionary.
There you go. That's good.
Men are feminists too. It's why we chose the word. You know, I kind of liked women's liberationist as a word, but feminist we chose because men could be feminists too.
Do you have any role models? And if so, who are they and why? And that's from Romina.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many. When you say that, I think of Wilma Mankiller, the chief of the Cherokee Nation, who's should have been president of the United States in any fair situation. An amazing woman who knew how to create independence, not dependence. Incredible gift. Alice Walker, I think I always think of her as ahead of me on the path.
She's our book 4.
Yes, she's number 2 on your book club, and I'm so grateful. And I mean, how great is it that I'm there and Alice Walker is there, and is that not, we didn't know, we didn't lobby, we didn't do anything. We're so honored and to be chosen, so I'm just totally knocked out with this, right?
No, that's craziness. This is us getting to be here and still being able to talk to you who wrote these things that mean so much to us is remarkable and a complete gift. So it's really our honor. I want to try and get a few more questions in because they'll be mad at me otherwise. Oh, this is an interesting one. Do you believe that the word feminism should change to humanism? Would it be easier for men to embrace feminism if changing the word made it sound like equality for all, not just women? And that's from Jace.
Well, once I went to a lecture I was doing at a big kind of amphitheater in Texas, and there were people outside with big placards saying, Gloria Steinem is a humanist. And I thought, oh, how nice. I was ignorant of the tradition of the word humanist, which means you don't believe in God, which, you know, they were very pissed off.
Is that what it really means?
Yeah. Well, I'm generalizing, but if you go home or you look and that's what it means, yeah, that you believe in human beings.
I'm completely exposing my ignorance here. I had thought that it meant that humanism is sort of like you believe in equality for all humans. Oh,
no.
Wow, I'm so wrong.
I mean, this is
great.
The meanings change over time, but that's not the origin of its...
I think that's what it's sort of come to mean, even though I don't think that clearly it's not the actual definition of it.
Well, you know, first of all, we should be able to choose our own word. It is not, if you don't want to say feminism, fine. Women's liberationist, womanism, mujerista, if you're Spanish. Girls, I love girls with 2 or 3 R's. So it's the content that matters, not the word. Right. Some people say equalist. That's another word.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It's so hard, there's so many good ones. Okay. I would love, Michelle is saying that she would love to hear you talk more about the Houston National Women's Conference. Do you believe something like this could happen again? And if it were held today, how do you think the conference would be different from what it was like in 1977? How have the issues changed since then?
You know, this, I don't want to go on about this because probably most people in my country don't know about it, much less, but it was a 2-year process in which in every state and territory, delegates were elected and issues were selected by huge numbers of people. I mean, in the capital of New York State, there were 2,000 people just there. And it also, because of its guidelines, was maybe the only racially, economically, ethnically representative meeting I've ever seen in my country. And we decided then, those delegates voted on a program that we all agreed on. And so it caused us to unify around, yes, anti-lesbian sentiments or a feminist issue. You know, this is, or around reproductive rights and abortion, which were still controversial then. So it was like writing a constitutional convention for women. So I describe it in the book, and there are other books completely devoted to it if you want to look at it and see whether you think that this would be useful in some way.
What are possible solutions to a misogynistic media? How can average citizens and voters either change flawed mass media or simply be sure they are receiving reliable news and information free of biased and destructive misogyny? And that's from Amy.
Well, I think this is on the agenda of your New Women's Party, is it not?